Hey, what's up guys? Sloth King here. Today I'm going to show you how to bleed your brakes. So I've covered this before in a short, and I might as well make a long form video. That way I can go a little more in depth of what you need to do and how to actually bleed your ABS pump. So on certain cars you're going to need a scan tool that's bi-directional, so that way you can plug in and actually tell the ABS pump to cycle, and that will get any fluid or any old fluid and some air out of that pump. Certain cars you don't need to do that, but on my 2008 4th gen 4Runner you need to do that. There's a few different ways that you can do it. You can do it by just pressing the brake pedal down once you have your bleeder open on your caliper, and it will cycle the ABS pump, but you need to be careful because sometimes it won't stop and then it will just drain the reservoir dry, which is not what we want when we're doing this. And also I'll be showing you how to do it by yourself. This method, you really don't need anyone else to do it. You just need you, a bottle, and a scan tool, preferably. Certain cars, you don't need to do it, and you can just pump the brakes normally. But anyway, let's get into it and I'll show you what we need. All right, let's go over a few things. So on most caliper applications, we're going to need some clear vinyl tubing. The inside diameter is going to be 1/4 inch. The outside diameter is going to be 3/8 of an inch. I will have all this stuff linked below. You're going to need brake fluid. Now you need to find out for your vehicle if you need .3, .4, or whatever. You can't just mix any of them together. .3 and 4 is interchangeable, but .5, it doesn't like it. We are going to need some kind of suction tool. This commonly referred to as a turkey baster. Next, we're going to need a wrench of some sort. On my 4Runner, the bleeder valve is 10 millimeter. And then over here, we're going to need a scanner. This is the new X-Tool scanner that I picked up. And this allows you to manually control the ABS pump to activate. And then finally, you're going to need a bottle of sorts. That way, we can put the old fluid in something. And then, of course, get some gloves. You do not want to get brake fluid on your hands. And last but not least, if you have a vehicle that's high up enough, like a truck or an SUV, you do not need to jack up your vehicle to access your calipers. Sometimes you do, but if you have a car, you're going to want to get some ramps or a jack and jack stands and jack it up. And if you don't know how to do that, check out this video that I made on how to jack up your vehicle right up here. All right, so first things first, what I recommend doing, we're going to put a little bit of the old brake fluid inside of this bottle. This will prevent any air from going back into the caliper once you release it. Now, this method with using the scan tool, we don't really need to worry about air going back in, but if you're just bleeding your brakes by yourself without the scan tool, this will help you. So this is where some sort of suction device comes in. All right. So we don't need much. Just grab a little bit, and this is newer fluid, by the way. Oops. Take your cap off, and be careful not to get any of this brake fluid on your paint. It is very caustic, and it will destroy your paint. It will literally just eat it away. Alright, that should be enough just so that the hose can be submerged in there. Alright, now that we got that in there, let's go ahead and throw some more brake fluid inside of the reservoir. We do not want to let this thing run dry because we're going to have to do it all over again since air would get inside of the lines. Alright, that should be good. Just pop that back on just lightly. And usually about every 3 years you want to go ahead and just flush your brake lines, because this stuff is hydrophobic. No, not hydroscopic. Over time, since it's a hydraulic fluid, it allows water to just seep into it, and then it reduces the boiling point of the fluid, and then you will have a lot of brake fade and just nasty stuff. And also, if there's moisture inside of the lines, it will cause the inside of your calipers to rust out, resulting in a seized caliper. So next, with this tubing, we're just going to measure it a little bit. Usually I would put this up to the bleeder valve and then just hang it down to the ground. So I would cut about that much. I already know how much to cut, but you just measure it from the top of your bleeder valve on your caliper to the ground. Actually, I'll show you back here. So hopefully you can see it. I have my bleeder valve right here. Just gonna pop the tube on it. And then once it gets down to the ground, see, it's like right about here, because it's going to be in the bottle. We want it to go up a little bit. So I'm just gonna cut it here. There we go. And then insert this. You're gonna make a cut in the top of the cap. Push this down into it till the tube is a little bit submerged. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and start bleeding this. So let me go through this real quick for you guys. If you're not using the scan tool and you just need to bleed your brakes, you put this on your bleeder valve, keep this on the ground, and then you're going to crack your bleeder valve, and then you're going to go inside of the vehicle and pump your brake pedal X amount of times. When you want to come out and double check it, once you see that there's fluid just in the line without any air and it looks clear, like you see how this fluid looks, that's good clean fluid. Old fluid is going to be darker. Once you start seeing clean fluid come through, you're good. And you want to start with the rear of the vehicle. Ideally, since my ABS pump is on this side and the reservoir is over there, you want to start from the furthest away from the pump and reservoir. That way you get most of the dirty fluid towards the back of the vehicle. So you would start with the rear passenger, go over to the rear driver, and then work your way up to the front passenger, and then end on the front driver's side. Since that is the closest to the reservoir, that's going to have the least amount of dirty fluid in those lines going to it. Now if you're just replacing one caliper, you can go ahead and just bleed that one caliper. But if you haven't had your whole brake system bled before, just bleed all of it. Start with the rear, work your way up front. All right, so while we're over here, let's just hook this up. You're gonna want to get your wrench, have it on the closed box side, which is this. Put it under bleeder valve. See how it's on there right now? And then next, we're going to attach our hose, and then just let the bottle hang a little bit. And then we're going to crack it open. Oh, that's on pretty tight. Wow. Okay. Now that it's open, you want to open it just enough until you see a little bit of fluid come out. Just like that. You see that? That's what you want. Now let's go hook up the scan tool. All right, so this scan tool, this one is wireless. It is the IP819TP. This has the TPMS for your tire pressure sensors, but that's for a different video. So we're going to grab our OBD2 scanner port of it with the Bluetooth. Anyway. So we're going to find our port, plug it in, you'll hear it beep. We're going to power on our scan tool. Once that loads, we'll get into the next step.
2 hours later.
All right, now that the scan tool is on, we're going to flip our ignition to the on position. We're going to go into special function. We're going to look for ABS bleeding, which is right down here. We're going to find our vehicle. Mine is a Toyota 4Runner. And then I am located in North America. I will click that. Let's click on automatic detection. Here's everything about my vehicle. It's like, oh, hey, everything popped up, 2008, blah, blah, blah. Now let's click on this, and then we're going to click on the special functions. And then we're going to do air bleeding. Let's walk over to our bottle, and I'm actually going to get my stand. That way you can have a better view, and whenever I click the air bleeding. All right, so now that I have you on my camera mount, we are going to press the air bleeding button. And it's going to say, welcome to the air bleeding utility. This function is used to purge air from the hydraulic braking system. And then it just has some notes in here. I know it's really hard to see because the screen is like reflecting all the awesome light on it. But it's just telling you like, hey, when bleeding, ensure that the fluid level does not drop below the indicated minimum line on the reservoir. And then, like we already checked before, we already put more fluid in there. So we already know that. We're going to hit continue. And then it's going to say, select the line that you would like to bleed. So we are on the rear right. So let's click that. The bleeding operation on the next screen will automatically stop after 4 seconds. Hit continue. Now it's telling you what to do. Open the bleeder plug, press continue, wait for timer, and then it says, note, do not depress the brake pedal, which is good. So, gonna hit continue. Oh, you hear it activating? All right, so what we're going to do, it now says close the bleeder plug. So let's close that. All right, the plug is closed. Now it says hit continue and wait for the timer. All right, so it's a 20-second countdown. And it says air bleeding is complete. Press OK to exit this function. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it one more time. So let's go ahead and open up that valve one more time. And then let's bleed it one more time. There we go. Now we're going to close it. And then it'll have another 20-second countdown. So I'm going to do this about just a couple more times. I want to make sure all the air is bled through, right? But before I continue, I'm going to go check that reservoir to see how much brake fluid dropped. All right, so it only dropped a little bit. So I'm going to continue doing that a few more times. Once I do that, I want to do it about 4, maybe 5 times. I want to make sure all the air is like pushed all the way out, right? And then I'm going to do it for every caliper after that. So let me go through it. I'm doing the passenger side. I'm going to go do the rear driver, then the front passenger, and then end on the front driver's side. And then all the air should be purged out of it. And always remember, make sure that reservoir does not drop. So I'll be right back whenever I'm done with this. Okay guys, I am on the front calipers right now, and I just got a different prompt that came up on the screen. So it says, perform the following operations. Press and hold the brake pedal, press continue, wait for the timer, note, do not loosen the bleeder plug. Interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and press the brake pedal and hit continue. Oops. Perform the following operations. Release the brake pedal, press continue, wait for the timer. Okay, continue. Air bleeding is complete. Press OK to exit this function. Huh, interesting. Let's do that one more time. This thing keeps falling. Okay, so since the front is a little bit different, I'm going to show you how to bleed the brakes without having a second person. So since you just saw that I purged the air from that right front line, even though it says do not open the bleeder valve, now what we need to do is crack it open, bleed the brakes like normal, and then do it again. By do it again, I mean like press the function so it can purge the air out of the ABS pump. Let me go under there, crack that bleeder valve, and then we're going to pump our brake pedal. Okay, I have my reservoir topped up. Let's loosen this bleeder valve. Now this is where the bottle method comes in handy for you guys. Got that submerged, right? This front one on the 4Runner is actually an 8mm. The rears are 10mm. So that's kind of weird. So let's go ahead and crack that open. Got some air, not air. I got some fluid coming out. So let's go pump the brake pedal a few times. We're going to bring the pedal all the way down to the floor and then slowly release it. And then let me get you a shot of what's going on underneath the vehicle while I do this. That way you can see what I mean about having some fluid in there so the brake fluid doesn't go back in like running it dry. All right, I will start pressing the brake pedal right now. All right, so I did that twice and I do see some bubbles in here. So let's tighten that up and let's perform that function again that purges the air. All right, so let's purge that air one more time. Press and hold brake pedal, press continue, wait for timer. Release brake pedal, press continue, wait for timer. 20 seconds. I'm going to skip this part on the video. There we go. And I'm going to do it one more time. All right, that's complete. Now I'm going to pop open that bleeder valve. I'm going to bleed the brake caliper one more time on that side, and then we're going to do the same thing on the driver's side. So if you follow along on the passenger side, you can do it on the driver's side and make sure that reservoir is filled. All right, passenger side is done. And remember, when this hose is full, we're going to slightly take it off the bleeder valve until some air gets in that hose. That way we don't make a mess. And then lift the hose straight up and let it drain into the bottle. This side is done. Don't forget to put your bleeder valve caps back on. This will keep dirt out of it. All right, guys, I have completed the whole entire flush. And I filled up my 16-ounce water bottle, and as you can see, that is some dirty fluid. And I filled this up twice when I was doing the front calipers, and then now I'm just going to do the final fill on it. And there we go, that's all nice and full. Place your cap back on and you are done. All right, and when you have old fluid, what you can do, you can find, I just happen to have an old brake fluid bottle. You can empty it in here and then take it to your local parts store, and then they'll be able to recycle it for you. So this is something that if you haven't flushed your brake fluid out at all, you want to do this every 2 to 3 years, since the brake fluid likes to attract water. And when you have water in your brake system, not only does it cause some of the lines on the inside to corrode and rust, it'll also cause your calipers to corrode and rust. And that's what leads to a seized caliper. And on top of that, when you have so much moisture that's inside of that hydraulic fluid, it will cause the boiling point of that fluid to lower. So if you're braking a lot and then you're going to experience a heavy brake fade, you're not going to be able to stop quick enough. The pedal will feel like super soft, it'll like go to the floor, and that means your brake fluid is just getting too hot and it's boiling. So that's bad. Just make sure every about 3 years or so, just go ahead and flush out the system. It doesn't take that long. You can pick up one of those big 32-ounce bottles and yeah, you can get it done within like 30 minutes at the most. But anyways, guys, that's how you go through and thoroughly bleed your brake system, especially with the scanner. On these newer cars, you are going to need a scanner. That way you can bleed the ABS pump. On certain vehicles, you really don't need to do that. The brake system allows it to allow the brake fluid to flow through the ABS pump without having to have a scan tool on to purge the air out of it and to get the old fluid out. But if you have a 4th gen 4Runner or any new car, you're gonna need that. But anyways, guys, hopefully this video helped you guys out and gave you more of an insight on how to properly bleed your brake system. If it did, go ahead, comment below if it helped, leave a like, subscribe to see more videos like these, and I'll catch you guys on the next ride.